try to answer to the best of our knowledge.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Director, for giving crystal clear information of this new diagnostic tool. So this may save many lives where the patient is going to live breadwinner of the family. My question is, Kaplan's survival score. Suppose the patient got a 0 score. So do you advise any statins or aspirin? You are not for those drugs. Where do you advise? In what subject you advise the statins and aspirin?
Yeah. See, now we know an established atherosclerotic disease, if it is there, statins between the ages of 40 and 75 are recommended. And when the calcium score, this is very important, especially in patients with diabetes, with the family history of coronary artery disease. And they are worried. Patients are totally asymptomatic and patients have 0 calcium score. Earlier, the recommendation was to give for all diabetic patients. Now, even if the diabetic patients, once CTCA calcium score is normal, then we don't recommend statins.
In your practice, sir, suppose the patient is strictly asymptomatic, his calcium score is say around 100, less than 400. So what do you advise straight away, the CTCA, or you stop the procedure with the CAC?
If the patient has got 100 to 400 and patient is totally asymptomatic, then I usually do the non-invasive stress test. If the stress test is also absolutely normal, and starting a statin, nowadays people are recommending against aspirin. Aspirin should have a second place compared to statin. And if you have 100 to 400, it will be a shared decision with the patient, the benefits and the risks of statin usage, long-term usage. And if they have very strong history, and diabetic patients with 100 to 400, we usually start statins.
Yeah. So age is no bar, economic status is no bar, sex is no bar. So this is very important because our ladies, home ministers will not come to the hospital. They try to tolerate the pain. In this subset, where do you advise CAC and CTCA? Routinely to advise all of them, or in to the general physician, what is your advice?
Yeah, see, the American Heart Association guidelines, the CAC advice is for, based on the pooled cohort equations, if it is between 7.5% to 20%. You have to advise CAC to guide us for the downstream investigations or the treatment, like starting statin. If it is 5 to 7.5%, again, it is a shared decision with the patient to undergo CAC. But less than 5% risk of ASCAD in the next 10 years by the pooled cohort equations, most of the times we don't recommend. But low risk patients, supposing patient has got very strong family history, 3 uncles died and he is worried, patient is worried even below the age of 40 years, around the age of 40 years, we do recommend CT coronary angiogram, especially in Indian patients, because we know that just calcium score may not identify a plaque which is very, very risky, by which we mean hypoattenuated or plaques in the proximal areas or plaques with pepper-like, and high-risk plaques. So these can be missed if you take only coronary artery calcium. Certain subsets, definitely we go for CT coronary angiogram.
Yeah. So we know that in our studies, there are more than 1,000, 2,000 Augustin score. Do you mean 1,000 above means there is a damage to the already existing coronary tree, or is a future candidate for myocardial events?
Yeah. See, you have longitudinal studies like MESA, multi-ethnic study of atherosclerosis, where people have shown between 400 to 999 compared to 1K plaque, that is 1K is 1,000 calcium score plaque, they have higher incidence, almost 1.5 to 1.7 higher incidence of all-cause mortality, cardiovascular mortality, cancer mortality. So the higher the score, the greater the risk. That is one. Now, when you talk about it, again, the density. If you talk about a very dense calcium plaque, which is limited, compared to a relatively mixed plaque, very dense calcium plaque is less likely to rupture. This is interesting if you see, if the calcium score is not very high, but if there are plaques and if these are very dense and relatively less, maybe let us say 100, 200, 300 calcium score, these are less likely to cause acute coronary events. And this is the theory for how these statins work. Patients who are on statins, what they do, lesions become more dense. That means the soft plaque is absorbed and it is replaced by calcium, and more calcified plaques are less likely to rupture.
Yeah. So common problems in our day-to-day practice. Patient says, so is it related to my calcium intake? My calcium score is high. Is there any relation? Please comment on this, sir.
Yeah, so there are a lot of studies going on, the food questionnaire and data available on chronic kidney disease patients, wherein based on the dietary questionnaire based on the memory, some Brazil's questionnaire is there, where they have found that in the CKD patients, the intake of the calcium, more than that, the phosphorus, which is there in cool drinks, in chicken, in nuts, in pork, more, and these are the items where the phosphorus content is more, and calcium, potassium, and the phosphorus. If this intake is more, the calcification is shown to be progress more. On the other hand, the green vegetables are supposed to reduce the incidence. Not only this, and when you advise calcium, many physicians ask, many patients also ask, when you're talking about calcium score, I take calcium tablets daily. Am I at more risk for thrombosis or calcium deposition in my coronaries? The data is not very robust, but with the available data, it is felt that the calcium taken in between the meals results in higher calcium levels and it may get deposited. So if you have to take calcium, it has to be along with the food intake, and it is always preferable to take more dietary calcium like eggs, milk, dairy products and nuts, wherein you have higher calcium. With food ingrained in the food items you take, that is better rather than taking the calcium tablets. But if you have osteoporosis based on orthopedics and other things, serum calcium levels, you have to sometimes take the calcium tablet, but along with the food.
One more question from me. Last question is, when IAS officer got more than 3,000 score, he says, according to his knowledge, he says progression will be around 25% every year. Is there a method to regress it or arrest it?
You mean the calcium score?
He is not worried about the symptoms of disease. Calcium score is not happy with the calcium in the coronary artery. Say this common question from educated people. What is your answer?
So 3,000 calcium score definitely is they have a higher propensity to develop overall cardiovascular mortality. And as you have seen, even if 1,000, it is almost 37 times compared to 1. So they have to be cautious. And some fortunate people we have seen living with 1,000, 1,400 calcium scores for several years without having a cardiac event. So there are several ifs and buts. It is not like, every patient will behave the same way. And it is individual genetic and other factors, the hypercoagulability, the natural plasminolytic activity, and the edges and the cap of the plaque, and several other factors. So that is why in cardiovascular disease, so much of uncertainty, unpredictability is there, resulting in so much of confusion, which is prevailing now.
You advise him to go for further evaluation.
Yes, 3,000 calcium score, of course, what we do based on the type of the activity, definitely has to go for a non-invasive stress test, number one. The stress test is extremely good. Patient doesn't want any further evaluation, we leave him. On the other hand, with the uncommon, at the age of 50 or 60, if he has got 3,000 and patient has got very active life, probably you have to go for invasive angiogram, and there again probably some FFR to decide whether the patient needs any intervention.
Thank you, sir. Congratulations. So many viewers, they have a lot of interest in our subject. They followed it, it seems. So thank you so much, sir. Sir, good afternoon, Keshavarao Garu. How are you? His question is, Keshavarao, there is a question. Is accepted that atherosclerosis starts at early age. At what age you advise a particular patient to undergo CTCA or CAC? The age you advise.
Yeah. So again, it depends on, of course, no risk factors and risk factors and the type of the activity. So, though guidelines do not say, in our Indian patients where the coronary artery disease is almost 3 to 6 times higher than Caucasians or Japanese and other segments, where we see a lot of younger patients, less than 40 years, you see acute coronary syndrome, 25% of the patients. So I would suggest, if the patient has any atypical chest pain or any ECG change, or patients who want to be very clear or anxious, these patients, even if more than 30, 35 years or 40 years, I advise, because it gives me and the patient, more than me, the patient, confidence. Now you know that 15-year warranty test. If it is 35 years or 40 years, if patient wants to be very active for the next 10, 15, 20 years, starting a lot of projects and then industry. So these patients who are very active, if you say CT coronary angiogram, because I don't believe totally on calcium score, we may miss in younger patients. So CT coronary angiogram, if it is done at the age of 40, calcium score is 0, CT coronary angiogram is absolutely normal, clean coronaries. I'll tell them, don't see me for the next 10 years at least. You follow your family physician.
No, don't go to cardiology for 10 years, you come to me. So, Keshavarao Garu, that is advice. So, patient can come to you every month, or he need not come to the cardiologist if he undergoes CTCA. CTCA is a calcium score is 0, coronary is perfectly free. So, thank you, sir. Second question is, sir, Dr. Bharati, Challa Bharati. There is a database how cholesterol levels are not as bad as they thought to be. Yes, agreed, madam. When do you think we should worried about cholesterol levels? What is the cholesterol level at which you are worried and you subject these patients for, especially the discussion in CTC?
Yeah. The routine recommendation in asymptomatic patients without evidence of atherosclerosis, unless it is more than 190, you may not stop. If it is between, again, 160 to 190, and again, based on the risk factors like family history and all, there is a gray zone where, again, shared decision has to be taken. But on the other hand, irrespective of the cholesterol level, if the patient has got evidence of atherosclerotic disease, cardiovascular disease, by which we mean either he has got evidence in the coronary artery disease or in the abdomen or in the carotid vascular problem, then the patient has to be on lipid-lowering drugs, high-intensity lipid-lowering drugs, once there is an event of cardiovascular event, irrespective of the cholesterol level. Getting it, the LDL to even 55 is recommended in such patients.
So suppose the LDL is more than 160 or 190 according to you, do you advise straight away CTCA? Is there a gender bias? That is our question.
Yeah, gender bias is there. It is established fact in coronary artery disease. That is the reason why almost about 2 decades ago, there is a movement, go red with women. In women, the tolerance is high. They don't complain easily. Their symptoms are atypical. They don't have chest pain. Often they have some palpitation, some fatigue, some perspiration, and they ignore often. So, go red with women is the movement started in abroad, and where they have found that the missing of coronary artery disease and the improper treatment, inadequate treatment of females, because the awareness also, gender bias is not, it is related to several factors. But even the university students in US, when they were questioned, when they were interviewed, with what cause you are likely to die, they were saying, most of them were saying by cancer. Whereas we know that it is not the cancer, cardiovascular disease is the commonest cause, even in females, of mortality. So the awareness is not there. We were also taught when we were students, females get only after the age of 70, or very rare they get. But now things have changed. So gender bias should not be there. And even treatment-wise, in some types of treatment, when you offer stent or bypass surgery, the vessels are small. So the results are naturally not as good as in males. So even in females, now, though the guidelines, because it involves a lot of cost, if you recommend by the guidelines, the patient's demand, then the whole lot of budget will not be sufficient to go for CT scan. But if I were to be the patient at the age of 40, whether I have symptoms or not, in fact, I have undergone CT coronary angiogram 3 times in the past 15 years, because every 5 years I go for CT coronary angiogram. This is the recommendation.
Initially, you had some problem because 0 means 15 years. Why did you undergo 3 times so far?
I never had, 15 years, I'm 63 now. So at the age of 50, I started. And when at the age of 40, again, more or less invasive angiogram also, at the end of 5 years, that is the usual recommendation. Every 5 years, if the patient has got disease or if the patient develops symptoms. So a very young patient like 40, yes, usually you say 15 years or 10 years. It is again gray zone, how far you have to believe, but we lead a stressful life. We lead, so 5 to 6 years. In fact, my daughter forces me to go for CT coronary angiogram every 5 years.
So suppose there is no gender bias. Females are equally treated, maybe with care you have to treat them.
Yes.
Suppose you advise a CT angio as a initial investigation. What about radiation?
Radiation, as I have shown you, radiation is less than the radiation you get every year sitting in your home. Radiation is less than a 1 lumbar spine X-ray, which we very often advise when the patient has got back pain or neck pain, cervical spine. And it is the calcium score radiation dose is equal, if not less than a mammogram, which people undergo very frequently. Nobody talks about radiation dose when you talk about mammogram. With the iterative reconstruction, when you reduce the kV from 120 to 100, even with the 0.4 millisieverts, you can have a proper calcium score estimation, which is half of the dose of your mammogram.
Madam, I want to say, CT angio is said to be mammogram of the heart. So how you undergo mammogram, you can same principle here. So suppose the patient is allergic to this dye. What is your advice, sir?
Yeah, just like, so allergic to the dye, then we have to see how severe the patient is allergic, because it may be some skin rash, as you see in invasive angiogram. Always we have to use non-ionic contrast, because we have seen ionic contrast, the allergic reactions are more. So you have to give steroids, you have to have an anesthetist standby if you are very sure that you need to go for evaluation. And in case you feel that the patient is likely to have significant disease, I go for invasive coronary angiogram, because you avoid the duplication of the test if you have the disease. And sometimes, just for information, you may do only with around 15 ml of contrast in invasive coronary angiogram, because in CT, you need to give necessarily around 50 to 70 ml of contrast. So such patients, if the patient is allergic, I prefer this after steroids and having an anesthetist standby. And when it is indicated, if the patient has got absolutely no symptoms, and then I use the non-invasive stress test. In such a case, a treadmill, if treadmill is again uninterpretable, even in such cases, again, more non-invasive, we may go for a radionuclide myocardial perfusion test.
When the necessity demands, you don't hesitate to subject this, even taking the risk of dye reaction, right, sir? That's what you mean to say. In this 1,20,000 more than experience, how many cases you landed in trouble?
The invasive coronary angiograms more than a lakh. Yeah, when we were using iodine contrast earlier, there used to be a little more, but once we shifted to this, we know when to stop, carefully watching. The first reaction we see is increase in the heart rate suddenly for no reason. That is the first step, and then you have to wait and watch what is happening. So rather than patient started complaining of coughing and then there is a drop in blood pressure, then if you wait till that time, keep on injecting, then there will be problems. So you have to be cautious with the first injection, watch carefully, have an anesthetist standby. Whenever you have a suspicion, keep everything ready.
So this is a very good question, sir. Probably she is much interested in our hospital. Do you have a branch in Hyderabad?
We don't have. We don't have. There are big stalwarts in Hyderabad, and there is.
Anyway, thanks, madam. Thanks for that nice question, affectionate question, really. In USA, baby aspirin, you mean 88 milligrams, right?
81.
81 milli is given to many patients over 40s. What is your recommendation?
Yes, no. Now, aspirin is going into the back seat. You see the recommendations of 2019. Aspirin for primary prophylaxis is almost going back seat. And in case you have to give, you have to take a shared decision explaining to the patient about the possible GI bleeds, okay, and whether there is some little protection from cancer people claim, and all these things you have to discuss, and when it is absolutely essential. Aspirin, of course, is needed as per the current recommendations up to 1 year after an acute coronary event, or at least 3 to 6 months after a stent implantation. But still, in future, we do not know. Aspirin may not be required at all with the advent of the newer generation P2Y12 inhibitors like ticagrelor, even good clopidogrel if the patient genetically is sensitive, responsive to clopidogrel. The aspirin may not be given at all. If at all, it is given for a much shorter period and a much smaller dosage.
Sir, Dr. Bharat, I appreciate you. What you said is very true, sir. Many cardiologists say, why not invasive angio all times? So what about risk of side effects? So it's not a calcium scan is a welcome tool. Yes, definitely. Any comments on this?
I also the patients come back to me when I show them the evidence and all. Also, sometimes they say, my cardiologist has advised invasive angio. I don't want CT coronary angio. Difficult, even educated people. It is wrong. If you apply the indications properly, as I said, 80% of the patients who undergo CT coronary angiogram will not need invasive angiogram. Puncturing either a radial artery or a femoral artery should be done only when you feel patient may need intervention. And there are several methods. And with the advent of CT-FFR, which is already available, but not very easily accessible, if it comes as a routine, let me tell you, half the problem, half the debate about this radiation dose or need for invasive angiogram after CT angio is going to disappear. CT-FFR already has shown good correlation with invasive FFR. And if that is there, you subject the patient for invasive angiogram only when you need to stent or when you need to do or confirm the CT-FFR and cross-check and do a stent implantation or subject the patient for surgery.
Thank you, Dr. Bharati. So many questions. So your appreciation to this subject is, thank you for that. Your interest in the profession is well appreciated by all of people here. Thank you. We'll be in touch with you. So one question from Dr. Prashant, sir. It is a biochemistry question. Is there oxidized LDL that is the culprit of atherosclerosis?
Yeah, it is. The scientific theory says it is the oxidized LDL which is dangerous and which is taken up by the macrophages. The macrophages swell, they get ruptured and then releases toxic materials, foam cells, and then
early atherogenesis.
Yes.
Yes, that is the answer, sir. This is Dr. Mohan Patil, initially is Patnala. how CAC scoring is done? Any contraindication to carry out this procedure?
No, see, coronary artery calcium was first done by 1980 by electron beam. Okay, so scintigraphy. Now the CT angiogram is done. The calcium score is done with a CT scan machine, where you just expose with 1 millisievert, less than 1 millisievert. If you do the proper adjustments and ECG gating and all. And with this, you just measure in the thorax and in the coronary arteries what is the calcium level and its density. And scoring is given based on the volume of the calcium clot and also the density. But more than the calcium score, now we know that it is the location of the calcium deposit, whether it is in the proximal coronary arteries. Number two, whether it is a mixed, not when you are talking about clot, atherosclerotic clot, whether it is a mixed clot. Then when you are talking about only density, the denser the calcium clot, as I said, the less likely it is to rupture.
Sir, one question already answered. Dr. Nagaraj Kumar. So LDL is more high risk factor for heart attack. Yes, definitely answered by our speaker. More than 190, definitely very high risk. More than 160, so hypertensive, ideally is 130.
LDL is important. Yes, people have shown the linear algorithmic response
study,
treat, but it is given too much of importance to the extent that many doctors, many physicians, many of our the patients, they come with a normal LDL report, and when you say heart attack and the patient needs ICU admission, they don't just believe you. So it is given more importance. It is a mass misleading weapon. It has misled the people. Now we have to give the right perspective. Yes, if you have established coronary artery disease or atherosclerotic disease, then you take the medicines. Otherwise, don't worry about 120, 130, 140 LDL also. You don't treat.
One more question from Dr. K. Hari. What are the best non-invasive diagnostic to understand the lesion sizes after stent? That is your specialty, interventional cardiologist. How often you entertain this problem? How often this CTC will be useful to assess the stent problem, restenosis, instant restenosis, etc. That's what it means.
Yeah. Post-stent, of course, after a few years, if the patient has got atypical symptoms, if the stent diameter is more than 3 millimeter, you may have adequate information. People recommend, anything less than 2.75 millimeters, it may not be used to have instant stenosis. And also the assessment of clot, again, the significant atherosclerotic or calcification inside, it is difficult in the stent. Usually you don't do, but after 5 years, CT is done to know whether if there is any progression of the lesions in the other vessels.
So you mean to say this is better than invasive angio?
No, I wouldn't say that. In post-stent patients, the patient doesn't have any symptoms. We use more of non-invasive stress tests, patient symptoms, the activity. Based on that, the duration, if there were lesions, let us say 50%, 60% lesions 5 years, 6 years ago in a proximal LAD, then again, you go for stress test and radionuclide or treadmill test, and if it is absolutely normal, 10 minutes, 12 minutes negative, we still wait. If the patient has atypical symptoms, then plus minus borderline, then we may go for again CT or invasive angio and go for a FFR.
So this is a problem with the post-stent patients. Sir. Most of the patients will come with vague pain chest. Even they are not happy with the TMT. If I subject them for CT angio, stent is okay, I will show them, will be comfortable. That's where I look this, if the patient can afford, but that is the indication you are saying.
But you have to be cautious in advising or in reporting that it is absolutely wrong.
No. Okay, right, sir. Srilata, sir, in 60 years old diabetic patient, if no proximal LAD lesion, If RCA lesion, LCX, OM lesion more than 90, do medical management still plays a role?
Yeah, see, again, when you talk about RCA lesion, see, whatever information is mentioned or the guidelines say, for an individual patient, you have to apply what is really relevant. For example, you are talking about RCA, okay? Ischemia trial says only proximal LAD and LMCA. It doesn't mean true for every patient. We have seen several patients, RCA, which is a hyper super dominant. It supplies the whole heart. Okay, LAD is minuscule, type 1, wherein it stops before the apex. And this is more than LAD, it is like LMCA for that patient. So, if RCA is a big vessel, supplies big territory, and it is viable, then it needs to be addressed. And of course, patient needs statins and aspirin.
Yes, sir. That is a question, practical question. Probably is a patient, Mr. Joseph, Mr. Murali. I underwent PCI. I am taking clopidogrel for the last 6 years along with aspirin. So, what is your good advice, sir?
Yeah, yes. So, if your coronary angiographic picture was absolutely normal, apart from this stented vessel, and if you don't have any symptoms, probably I would stop clopidogrel and maintain with aspirin. But if there are lesions, 50-60%, and diffuse disease, probably I would give only high quality clopidogrel and stop aspirin. Because one of the two antiplatelets is sufficient. Most of the times, if coronaries are clean, though aspirin is occupying the back seat, still, giving a clopidogrel which is more potent, whether it causes more bleeding when, some other emergency surgery or something can take. We don't have clear evidence, but this is what I practice.
So the problem with clopidogrel is clopidogrel resistance. Problem with aspirin is acid peptic disease. So you said you are preferring clopidogrel to aspirin, but that is not the recommendation generally. Am I right?
Yeah. See, clopidogrel resistance again in Asian patients almost to the tune of 25% to 30%. Whether a laboratory evidence of resistance, whether it translates into the clinical events, there is some disparity in the data, though some of the data shows it results in more incidence of thrombosis. But to choose between clopidogrel and aspirin, still there is some gray zone. In my practice, again, I take into several factors, like into consideration. For example, a 70-year-old person is there, and is relatively other coronary picture is normal and only stented. He is happy, he is comfortable. Probably a enteric coated aspirin small dose I will give rather than clopidogrel, because the bleeding risk in elderly patients is more.
You mean cerebral bleeding?
Cerebral bleeding. Yes. They may need emergency surgery, they may need fractures, they may have fractures.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Younger patient who has got disease in other vessels also, 50-60 diffuse disease in other vessels, maybe I would prefer clopidogrel to aspirin.
Anyway, physicians can take a decision there.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Sir, this is one of the common questions about age problem. So very strong family history of coronary artery disease, parents, grandparents. So do you advise CTCA as early as 30 years? Very good question, sir.
Yeah, we keep seeing. Yes, we keep seeing. If I were to be the patient, if 3-4 members in my family had, even at the age of 30, I would go for CT coronary angiogram, whatever the guidelines say, because I want to be sure if absolutely it is clean, maybe at least, even if I have very strong family history, at least I feel I am protected for 7-8 years, at least, if not 15 years, what, the studies show. And maybe every 7 years or 8 years. I mean, this is all arbitrary I'm talking about. See, this is not from any literature. Still, a lot of gray zones are there, and you have to individualize every patient.
So you advise CTC as early as 30 when there is a high index of especially
I would
strong family history.
I would do what I'll talk to the patient, I'll discuss with him, and probably I'll go for a non-invasive stress test in that patient. If he has got very healthy habits, healthy exercise, diet, if his treadmill 12, 14, 15 minutes is absolutely normal, then I may not do.
Yeah. So one question, this actually to me, but you have to answer this. Rajesh Pupala, sir, my father is your patient, underwent DES, but he did not stop smoking and drinking. Can you suggest him and help me? So there I failed here, so you help him, sir.
See, most of the times, what we do in the cath lab, when I put a stent, or when I'm a colleague inserts a stent, we usually advise at in the cath table itself. Because that is the time when it goes into the mind of the patient, because we don't sedate them heavily. So we tell them, we are putting a stent, you see that, we show them the picture, and you have been smoking for 10 years, 20 years, you have enjoyed your life. If you want this stent to function, you have to quit smoking from this table itself. Most of the times we see after 6 months or 1 year, people are casual, they restart. If you restart, you don't come to us again. This is what we tell them, because that is the time when we put stress. I think you bring your father again, we'll try to threaten him.
Yes, sir, that's what I want to. Mr. Rajesh, bring your father. Our director will help you this time. Sir, so many questions we are. This is from Dinesh Singh. If a person has 3 stents and diabetic, so what he say? Is there any special advice to this patient? Because he says multiple stent, entire tree is like a steel frame, and above all he is a diabetic. What is your advice? You give ticagrelor instead of clopidogrel, or what is your advice?
Yeah, right. So whether it is 3 stents or 4 stents or 2 stents, the natural progression of coronary atherosclerosis partly is genetically dependent, partly related to other risk factors and the dietary precautions, the exercise program, the meditation and other yoga program. And even if it is a triple vessel stent, we have seen people leading very comfortable life for 20 years, not uncommon. So don't get worried about the triple stent. That is one thing. Number 2, the question of continuing antiplatelets. Probably I would prefer single clopidogrel, good quality clopidogrel in your case, but keep doing maybe something like a stress test every year or once in 2 years and see, just to see what is happening. And this is what I do. Apart from, of course, statin, you have to continue for life.
Yeah. Yes, sir. Does that, Mr. Ashok, this is from Mr. Ashok, does that mean high calcium score patient is presenting the angina? This is because of stable plaque morphology and calcium score between 140, and the case presentation is ACS. Patient came with angina, acute coronary syndrome, calcium score is 100 to 400. Is it due to the plaque morphology? That is his question.
See, calcium score is different. When you are talking about acute coronary syndrome, it is the CT coronary angiogram and the plaque, which may or may not be responsible for your symptoms. The plaque, which is unstable, by which we mean a mixed plaque, hypoattenuated plaque, which means that more of cholesterol, less of collagen, and a plaque with a thinner cap, by which we mean less than 60 microns in thickness, or a pepper shaped, okay, micro calcifications, and it is in the proximal portion, and whether that is related to the symptoms, you have CAD-RAD score application, where if it is between 70 to 99, more likely that it is. But still, if you have 2-3 lesions like that, you have to go for a FFR after the invasive angiogram and then identify the lesion.
Yeah. So this is a very good question from Dr. Raju. Sir, CT angio, will it decide whether the particular patient needs CABG or stent? Or calcium score decide between CABG stent? What is your...
No, calcium score will not decide. Okay, it is a lifetime risk or 10-year risk. Okay, if the patient has got symptoms suggestive of coronary artery disease or ACS, it is the plaque which is responsible. So, looking at that, you will not be able to decide unless that shows a critical diffuse left main disease, critical diffuse triple vessel disease where stentable lesions are not there. In such a case, in future, I am sure with a good quality CT coronary angiogram, patients will be taken up for surgery without going for an invasive coronary angiogram.
Sir, for
if the lesions are borderline, if you have 3-4 lesions, and based on the viability, for example, the patient has got triple vessel disease by your CT coronary angiogram, and one vessel territory is already infarcted, then you go for invasive angio, and out of the 2 lesions, if only 1 lesion is critical by FFR, then you stent it. And also you do cardiac MRI in such patients where the viability of this occluded vessel or infarcted territory is assessed, and if this is also viable and which is not stentable, then you go for a CA, coronary artery bypass surgery. So triple vessel disease is not uniform. They may not need any intervention. They may just do well with your medication, or they may need 1 or 2 or 3 stents based on the long-term results which are likely to be and the ease with which you can stent. And number 3, patient may need sometimes a hybrid procedure where you put 1 stent and then a graft. So likewise, there are different permutations and combinations. You have to apply cardiac MRI, you have to see the viability, and you have to assess the severity of the lesion and the hemodynamic significance before taking a decision.
So Dr. Raju means CABG triple vessel disease significant more than 70-80%. In that scenario, can CT angio give an idea about CABG, or you can stent? That is the answer. That's the question.
Yeah, so same thing. If CT angio says that the lesion is very long, non-stentable, but still graftable by the distal vessel target, then it may give some information. But if there are borderline lesions, again, you have to apply in each individual. Sometimes, yes, by seeing CT angio, we say, no, this is not a case for, PCI.
Yes, sir. So our Keshav Rao Babu is very much in the line. Sir, Keshav Rao Babu, your question is, ADA guidelines say that all diabetics above 40 should undergo CTCA, should be placed on statins. What is your
See, American Diabetic Association between 40 to 75. Now, this is what the recent data in diabetic patients, when these are followed, some 20 to 30% of the patients of diabetes, whom we were also worried, diabetes is a time bomb. Anytime you land up in heart attack, that is why we were also giving statins, earlier. But now, significant number of diabetic patients are receiving statins unnecessarily. As I told you, the data is the most recent data, about a year back. Even in advanced countries, statins are routinely given between 40 to 75, because beyond 75, the role of statins is plus minus. Between 40 to 75, people are giving even now, but 50% of these need not take. And if you apply calcium score cap in these patients, if it is 0, then you need not give statin in these patients. Of course, you have to assess not only the coronaries, the carotid intima media thickness, you have to assess the other vascular status. If there is no evidence of atherosclerosis, don't use statins. Maybe You may have to repeat it 4 to 5 years. Diabetics needs a more frequent re-evaluation compared to people who do not have any risk factors.
Same question for Dr. K. Sanjeev Raidu. Same answer, sir. You see, same question. Mr. Murali Krishna, what is the ideal heart rate you expect in post PCI CABG patients? He means established coronary artery disease. What is the ideal heart rate you expect? You aim at.
Yeah. The heart rate which the patient tolerates between 60 to 70 should be comfortable at rest, and with exercise 100, 120, it should be all right. But again, heart rate is, in diabetic patients, because of denervation, they have basic high rate, right? Some people have intrinsic heart rate, which is balanced between sympathetic and parasympathetic, the innervation and based on it. But otherwise, again, you are talking about hypertension. In hypertension, the role of beta blockers, those are the areas where you talk about heart rate. Because hypertensives with the intrinsic heart rate of 100, 110, still beta blockers are considered as one of the first line drugs, though beta blockers are second line drugs. So ideally 60 to 70, if you are comfortable at rest, even in the sleep, during sleep, some people come to me, some people look, spouses, some people look, and then they feel, 50 or ECG showing 50, 45, they're worried. Nothing to worry. If during the sleep, even if it is 45 with beta blockers, 50, doesn't matter. And if you're comfortable with that, don't worry about it.
So, though there are no recommendation hypertension, you can aim at 60, even don't hesitate to start beta blockers. That is your
Yes.
Prasad, my LDL is 160 and HDL is 90. What the treatment you advise? What are the precautions I have to take?
Yeah, LDL 160 if you are young, and I would suggest periodic non-invasive stress test. If you have any symptoms, whether atypical angina or some ECG changes or treadmill shows some borderline changes, you have to go for at least coronary artery calcium, CAT or CT coronary angiogram in our Indian patients. We don't stop at CAT because we are worried that we may miss a dangerous clot and say that our calcium score is 0, because patients' symptoms are so vague, we don't believe in symptoms because patients are asymptomatic. Based on the symptoms and 0 calcium score, even if you miss one patient, atherosclerotic plaque and plaque ruptures, patient develops, then that's the reason why, as of now, since you're taking the patient below the CT scan machine, why don't you just give a shoot and then see the coronary CT? It is a more authentic information.
Probably means that his HDL is 90, but you are at a safe.
HDL, yes, yeah, I've shown you a slide. HDL is normally in almost 45% of the patients who develop acute coronary syndrome. It is not a immunity. It doesn't give you passport.
Yes, sir. Murali Krishna, what is the ideal level of triglycerides? With total cholesterol always less than 170, triglycerides around 200 level. Is it problem? I am taking 67 milligrams fenofibric acid, 10 milligrams aspirin. What is your advice?
Yeah, there has been a lot of debate for decades on the role of triglycerides, because the other confounding factors, because most of the times it is part of the metabolic syndrome, and the triglycerides, if you discount the other low HDL and high LDL, by itself, whether it will lead to some problem or not, but still, if it is more than 250, it is recommended to take lipid-lowering drugs. That is one. And only taking fenofibrate has not been shown to have any impact on the cardiac outcomes. Okay. Even in triglycerides, we give rosuvastatin and to bring it down, because rosuvastatin also brings down 5-10% of triglycerides. And I'll be happy with less than 200. Now the trials are going on, even between 200 to 250, whether you have to give and what happens and all.
So statins have pleiotropic effects, whereas fenofibrate doesn't have.
That is one of the theoretical, yes. Not that. Not been shown. Only fenofibrate has not been shown to reduce the cardiac events.
Yeah, this is one more question, sir, related to our calcium score. Do you advise a supplementation of vitamin D for such patients? This is from Shankar Rao, Dr. Shankar Rao. He says vitamin D 60,000 units saturated supplementation is good.
See, the one calcium score increases by more intake of phosphorus, calcium, and potassium. This is one scientific data. So the calcium score, what is the exact question, please?
No. Risk of calcium score, coronary calcium increases. No. This question is different.
Vitamin D.
Yeah,
Vitamin D. I got it.
Yeah,
Vitamin D. See, in all over the globe, especially in Indian patients, despite being exposed to hot sun, more than 80% of the patients are found to be deficient in vitamin D. Okay. So, if you are deficient in vitamin D, definitely you have to take. But if it crosses the upper limit, then you need not take. So, the deficiency of vitamin D, leads to several problems and even immunity problems, cancers,
Premature atherogenesis.
a lot of tenfold problems can occur with vitamin D deficiency, which is very prevalent all over the globe. Even in UK nowadays, they have started using vitamin D for many patients.
In our town, about 90% doctors are deficient in vitamin D level.
Yes.
So the answer is
If you are deficient, you have to take. If it is on the upper limit, don't take. Nothing to do with your calcium score now.
Yeah, this is very good question, sir. Related to Indian perspective, what are the American guidelines in relation to Indian patients?
Yeah, we have big CSI meetings. We have stalwarts who have been working on this, and they express their guidelines during their practice what they do, and the same guidelines, Australian, European, and the US guidelines may not be applicable because data is not as much as you have, and as I mentioned, the guidelines with regard to the management of hypertension, with regard to the management of diabetes, the role of statins, and the genetic traits which we do not have enough data. So, any patient, as medical professionals, we know genetics and personalized medicine is now the order of the day, and you cannot blindly apply the guidelines. Guidelines are only to give you a little direction and insight. And as a clinician, you have to use your judgment while advising any mode of investigation or treatment to a patient. Absolutely, blindly. But fortunately, in the past 15 years, we are also part of a lot of FDA-approved international studies, almost 20 studies. We are into plateau, ticagrelor, we are into a lot of low-mercury heparin. Now data is pouring in Indian patients. But unfortunately, what is the problem with Indian patients? A lot of, obstacles in doing research. People think, talk about guinea pigs and all. So we need to have our own data. Fortunately, we are into this. We have a research wing, and a lot of data need to be poured, and we are generating data. In fact, the cardiology conferences, the data which we are producing, it is amazing, and we have great cardiologists in the country. We are contributing to the field of cardiology globally, and we have our own guidelines. We are framing our own guidelines. And ultimately, we are the leaders.
So Indian patients, we have a small caliber coronary trace. That's why incidence of CAD is more compared to Westerns. But coming to treatment, the incidence of clopidogrel resistance is less. That is my experience. Our people tolerate drugs better than the Western people. Whether they are confined to the drug treatment, I don't know if they complaint or not. That is a second question. But any drug you give, generally they tolerate. Whereas the statins are well tolerated by Indian people. That's what my experience is. But incidence or coronary caliber tree is very small compared to the Western people. That's why incidence is more.
Yeah. Statin side effects.
So many questions.
Statin side effects. Yes. Like myalgias, myopathies, and people say that the side effect in the surveillance, during the surveillance, was not made public in the 3, 4, 5 years after the release into the market. That is one criticism on the statin manufacturers. We do not know how far it is true, but overall, in an indicated patient, statins definitely do good.
So, Mr. Dinesh Singh, what is normal dose of aspirin?
Yeah, the dose of aspirin, there was a lot of debate in the past 15, 20 years. You know, the neurologists use double the dose, 600 milligrams. People have used much more than
High grades,
earlier.
yeah.
Okay. And now people have switched over, whether it is 150 milligrams or 325 milligrams or 75 milligrams or Bayer's aspirin. The recommendation is what I usually do in Indian patients. After a month or 2 or 3 months, most of the times I stop aspirin. If I use smaller dose, 75 milligrams of entry coated. Entry coated gives only half the dose, so that means 37 milligrams. 37 milligrams of aspirin is sufficient to cause 50% of antiplatelet efficacy.
You give fatal dose rather than.
Yes, for whatever. Can't
Right,
totally deviate from the guidelines
Right.
to whatever extent it is beneficial, but at the same time, the lower the dose, we know the fact that the lower the dose, the lower the GI side effects. The GI bleed is definitely less at 75 compared to 150 or 325.
But anyway, the only drug approved so far for CAD is aspirin. The only drug given to American president 100 years back is aspirin. But the dose varies. Smaller the best to reduce the complications, right? Troponin negative, still patient says a typical pain test. So what is it? Your CTC?
Yeah, patient comes to ER, you do a troponin. Okay, troponin, you have to be cautious. So-called now we have high sensitive troponins, which are definitely more useful compared to earlier troponins. When troponin is negative, what is the cause? What are the causes of troponin negativism? One, patient has got unstable angina. It hasn't caused significant infarction. So, patient has got critical disease, 90, 95%, 99%. But still, it hasn't caused myocardial damage, muscle damage. It doesn't rule out significant coronary artery disease. So, if you say it is negative, then these are the patients whom you send for CT coronary angiogram without sending the patient home. Your ACG is normal, troponin is negative. You go home, he will land up. So you have to be definitive with the CT coronary angiogram.
So no significant muscle damage, but still is a patient.
That is one. The false positive and false negatives of your troponin. Troponin can be positive when there is myocarditis. Number 2, if there is pulmonary embolism. Number 4, if there is a trauma, extensive trauma, it can be positive. It can be negative, false negative. It can be false negative, or rising titers are not seen means patient has already had a myocardial infarction. It is already at the peak. It won't go up because serial troponins are important. 99% of the URL and all, depending on, then we have age specificity, sex specificity also people are talking about. So troponin can be negative. If the patient is taking another important thing, patients are taking B complex. It contains biotin. Patients who are taking biotin, it is actually the troponin investigations are done by biotinization. Where the patient is taking biotin, it will be false. So this also the B complex drugs which they are significant biotin, it may be falsely negative even if it is a myocardial necrosis. But usually, if it is large necrosis, usually it is positive. But if it is small, you may miss.
So drug interaction you should keep in mind.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. The one question is our Keswara Babu garu in still line. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for your interest. You think by going a CT angio CA score is low, we need not use statins in diabetics.
If calcium score is 0 and CT coronary angiogram, no plaques, clean vessels. Okay, I have seen patients, 70-year-old male, diabetic for 20 years, hypertension for 20 years, smoker. I was more than sure, okay, patient will have significant disease. I go there, coronaries are absolutely clean, 4 millimeter vessels, absolutely clean. This is the experience of all the cardiologists.
Imams.
So retrospectively speaking, he is a diabetic, he is a hypertensive. So you would have started statin at the age of 40. Okay, now he is 70. No, have you done the right? So again, you may have to reassess diabetic patients and take a call. But if the coronaries and there is no evidence of atherosclerosis in diabetic patients, I wouldn't start statins.
Yeah, that is your clear, sir. Keshavarao garu. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Imam Sekhar, for your appreciation. So that's the end of discussion, sir. Excellent. Very good presentation. I need not give shake hand.
Thank you, all the
Namaste,
viewers.
namaste, sir. Namaste,
Thank you very
namaste,
much.
namaste. Sir, మామూలు డాక్టర్స్ ఉండేదానికంటే ఇదే ప్రోగ్రామ్ బాగుంది.